This is Michael Osterlink, and I'm speaking with David Williams. He's the president of the Taxpayer Protection Alliance. Been working to protect taxpayers for almost 19 years now. How you doing, David?
A long time, yep.
Yeah, very long
And
time.
I have most of my hair.
Good for you. So one of the projects we've been working on together is to promote rational cuts to the Pentagon. It's been a really interesting project because there's a lot more conservative and libertarian groups who are kind of joining this effort, recognizing that we're now at $16 trillion in debt and we can't afford to do everything that we want. Unfortunately, we've come across a good bit of resistance from some members in the Republican Party and the Republican establishment. Can you speak to that?
Well, it's frustrating because the defense budget takes up a huge portion of the discretionary budget. So it should be the first place to look to find ways to make it more efficient and more effective. But then we have the conundrum where it's in the Constitution to defend the country. So a lot of people they hide behind the Constitution, saying this is defense spending. We can't touch it. We can't, look to it for a critical eye. Exactly the opposite. We have to look at it with a critical eye and say which weapon systems are working and which aren't. It's easy to get rid of a silly project. Onion research or the Tiger Woods Foundation. I mean, it's easy to get rid of those earmarks. It's a lot tougher to get rid of the defense earmarks and the things that are not working in the Department of Defense. 2 years ago, the House and Senate agreed to a two-year moratorium on earmarks. And the other 11 appropriations bills pretty much scrubbed of earmarks. But the Taxpayer Protection Alliance, we found $3 billion in earmarks last year, which they put them in there and said, well, we don't consider these earmarks. And I am convinced that the reason why it ended up in the defense bill is because it's the last place that people are going to criticize, especially Republicans. There's a group of Republicans that just don't want to criticize defense spending. They feel that if they criticize defense spending, it makes the country weaker and it leaves us more vulnerable. Exactly the opposite. Because if we have a weapon system that is consuming billions upon billions of dollars and it's never going to be deployed, it's not going to work, then that's an absolute waste of money, but it's also not helping protect the country. And we've seen Republicans and Democrats do this where they have used defense contractors for their own earmark factory. Whether it's John Murtha from Pennsylvania or Randy Duke Cunningham, who is in jail. This gentleman went to jail because of defense earmarks. He did not help the country. It just helped his election, now helped him go to jail. But that's why looking at the defense budget is so critical, is that the other stuff is relatively easy. This is a tough one for Republicans.
Just a few months ago, the summer of 2012, Congressman Mulvaney led an effort, a successful effort, to actually pass an amendment to the Defense Authorization Bill, which would freeze Pentagon spending at 2012 levels for 2013. He had 89 Republicans, 88 including himself, so 89 Republicans sign on to this effort. For these type of things, it's pretty amazing to get more than a dozen Republicans. What do you think we need to do on the right, as conservatives and libertarians, to go from 89 to 100 to 120, to really help these Republicans understand that in order to have a strong defense, perhaps it's necessary to actually cut the Pentagon and rethink how we do these things?
Well, 89 is progress, but it's not enough progress until something passes and we get the needed number of votes. I think what we need to do better is say, okay, we can freeze spending, and here's a list of things that should be cut. Here's a list of 10, 15, 20 defense programs, whether it's reducing the spending or cutting them completely, is saying this is how it works. We're not going to cut essential services. We're not going to cut money for soldiers. We're just getting rid of the bloat. And maybe the education we did wasn't robust enough to really, drive home that point, is that, we don't want to gut the Department of Defense. We just want to freeze the spending. And here's how you do it without affecting one soldier on the battlefield.
Great. Thank you, David.
Thank you.